Board of Trustees of the Village of Lake Barrington. It is Tuesday, September 3, 2019. It is 7:04 p.m. I will ask the clerk to begin by please calling the roll.
President Richardson.
Here.
Trustee Burke. Trustee Mitchell. Trustee Perkins.
Here.
Trustee Rigby.
Here.
Trustee Schaller. Trustee Thompson.
Here. Okay, would you all please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The fourth item on the agenda this evening is the customary approval of minutes, both of the special committee of the whole from last month, August 6th, and the immediately subsequent full board of trustees meeting also on the same date. Are there questions, edits, comments on the minutes for the clerk? There being none, Chair would like a motion to approve the block agenda items 4A and 4B, minutes of the special committee of the whole, the Board of Trustees August 6, 2019, and minutes of the Board of Trustees meeting August 6, 2019. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Moved by Trustee Rigby, seconded by Trustee Thompson. All those in favor? Aye. Chair would ask unanimous consent that the record remain open for a period of 7 business days for necessary technical conforming amendments without objection. So, on the President's remarks this evening, I have one thing to report. I was invited to a Midwest mayors and county officials meeting in Washington at the White House, and went about 2 weeks ago. Saw our own county board member, Mike Danforth, was in attendance. As is my custom, the village does not pay my travel for out-of-town activities, for in-town activities either, but it was very informative. They had a number of the primary federal agencies that assist with disaster relief on hand. It was a crowd of mayors from about 6 Midwestern states, both political parties. It was not a campaign-related thing, so it was nonpartisan. And they went through how to work with a variety of federal agencies in the event of a major disaster. There was a lot of discussion about it, certainly with the tragedy in Florida and Carolinas with the storm. But the question I had asked was more about a cyber attack, because some of you may recall late last month, 23 cities in Texas were simultaneously attacked together with ransomware demands. And the administrator has grown weary of my constant inquiry on that, because that's the thing that keeps me up. I said, Mother Nature, we are all accustomed to being rather unpredictable, but this is something that we can predict could well happen, and I want to make sure that we're on top of this. There is a framework for cybersecurity that the National Institutes of Science and Technology, which is a part of the Department of Commerce, has put out, both for network and server capabilities as well as for mobile devices. Much of the vulnerability now is in mobile devices, and we already had some conversation on that in our approach. But it was an interesting conversation. It lasted about 2.5 hours, and I was really pleased that they were so open. I had been to an event like that in the Obama administration years and in the Bush years, but it seems that we seem to have a Category 5 hurricane now every year, so I can have some sympathy. Our Mother Nature problem is really terrible thunderstorms and tornadoes. We don't get the forest fires that they have in California, or the earthquakes, or the hurricanes in the southeast. I felt better about it, especially when we merge it with the local activities that Karen's done such a good job with, getting us ready, all these tabletop exercises and so forth. So that was kind of the President's remarks from last month. Agenda item 6 this evening is the first opportunity in the agenda for the public to address the board on non-agenda items. No one is seeking recognition, so we can move to the consent agenda, number 7. Illinois law limits municipalities to adopt by one single unanimous roll call vote of the Board of Trustees and the village president a group of designated ordinances, orders, resolutions, or motions placed together for the purpose of voting as a single group. So that's what we're going to consider. Under 7A, we have consideration of a contract with catering services, and under 7B, consideration of a contract with Corrective Asphalt Solutions. yield to the administrator for a comment on those, and then we can have discussion and hopefully consider them in block.
Sure. The village for the past several years has used Catered Productions for the catering services at our annual Barn Stop event, which will be held Saturday, September 28th. So everybody out there, please come. We've always received great service and competitive pricing, and so once again, we're recommending them. The second is consideration of a contract with Corrective Asphalt Solutions. In 2018, last year, Old Barrington Road was resurfaced, and this year, Anderson Road was resurfaced. And staff is recommending Reclamite be applied to these newly resurfaced streets to extend the life of the pavement. You recall we've done this in the past with Savannah Trails last year and several streets several years ago. So those are the two contracts we're looking for motions to approve.
Are there questions for the administrator at this time? Karen, you said something from our prior experience with the corrective asphalt that it's a good technical fix, given your experience?
Yes, I am. It seems to do very well. We received photographs from the city of Elmhurst, who actually, has been doing it for a number of years, and they kept track, and they actually had great pictures that I shared with you last year, where one side of the road was treated and the other wasn't, and what it looked like after 6 or 7 years when they sent us those pictures, and it was remarkable.
There being no further questions, Chair would like a motion to approve in block agenda items 7A and 7B as stated in the recommended actions of the consent agenda. May I have a motion, please?
So second.
Moved by Trustee Rigby, seconded by Trustee Thompson. Thank you both. Clerk will please call the roll.
Trustee Rigby?
Aye.
Trustee Thompson?
Yes.
Trustee Perkins?
Yes.
President Richardson?
Yes. Agenda item 8 this evening, and we have a rather full report because we also have our audit and financial statement presentation. So I will ask the treasurer to come forward and introduce our guest and offer the report as well as the presentation of the financial statement.
Thank you. Yes, before you, you should have, I know Ann's passed out the new, we're just getting these for the first time ourselves. We've seen the PDF, obviously, but the bound version is, it's so happy to hold in our hands here. As for our fiscal year ended April 30th, 2019, we had a very good year. Our net income was up about $300,000, fund balance of $1.7 million right now. Our revenue came in 10% over budget, and our expenses about 5% under budget. So we went the right direction in both categories. So I'm happy to introduce Ann. Rin is here she's the principal from Waterback and Amon, who was in charge of the audit this year. And did I pronounce her last name correctly?
Van Born.
Van Born. I knew it. So this is Ann, so welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to briefly introduce myself. My name is Ann Van Born. I am a principal at the firm, and I was the manager of the audit for the Village of Lake Barrington. I know you have a small bond report and then a larger bond report in front of you. So I was just planning on walking through the larger one first. So this is the annual financial report. So on pages 2 and 3 of the audit opinion, we issued an unmodified opinion, and so this is the cleanest opinion that we can issue as auditors for our clients. So that just means that we found nothing material, everything was sound, our internal control testing, and then our material testing of the balances. Pages 4 to 13 is the MD&A management discussion and analysis. If I would recommend reading anything in the report, this would be the 10 pages I would read. It's kind of the Cliff Notes version of the entire fiscal year that happened for the village. Page 14 through 16 are the government-wide statements. And as Peggy mentioned, both the governmental and business type funds that increased from the prior year. Governmental funds went up about $379,000 and business type up about $343,000. Page 18 to 24 are the fund level statements. So these are more of the statements that you probably are familiar with, just on the monthly reports that you receive. Starting on page 25 are the notes to the financial statements. So these are just a lot of technical accounting language, and then also some additional detail for the numbers that you'll find in the financial statements. Page 55 are the budget to actual statements. So So that goes for all of the different funds that the village has, showing the budget and then the actual amounts for each for the fiscal year. And then page 66 to 69, this is some good trend information. So it shows 10 years of tax information for the village, just the property taxes, the rates, the collections, and the extensions. And then I'll move up to the smaller report, that's the management letters. We only issued one comment this year, and it was related to the GASB 75 pronouncement, and that was just letting the readers know that the village did implement the new GASB disclosure. You'll find in the notes of on the annual financial report that there was an immaterial footnote because we deemed that the GASB 75 was immaterial to the village, so we did not need to record any additional liabilities. I wanted to thank Debbie and Peggy for all of their help in getting the audit done from the prelim testing all the way through to the report that you have in front of you today. They were great to work with and made everything very easy when they came out for field work and to wrap up afterwards. If anyone has any questions about the documents in front of you or the audit process in general, I'll be happy to address them.
Chair is happy to recognize comments I'll yield to the Chair of our Finance Administration and HR first for questions or comments. Trustee Rigby.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you very much for the first very thorough audit that you and your firm performed here, but also the encouraging words about the good work that they're doing here. Based on your experience, though, I do have a question.
Sure.
Is this the state of Illinois? Are there things that a village our size now, that it may not apply to the village of our size, with a population of around 5,000, is there things that you as an auditor would say we might want to be concerned about as a board as we proceed in the next few years?
Well, I mean, the village does not have a lot of debt, so that is great. I think the debt that you guys do have just relates to the IEPA loans. And then, oh, I'm sorry, just the general obligation bonds, I'm sorry. But all of those are taken into account and paid off each year, so that's great. So just keeping your debt as low as possible. And then with the state, I mean, just monitoring the actual reports for IMRF and seeing the contributions and seeing if there's any additional contributions that maybe are wanting to, not saying that you have to make additional contributions, but just keeping in mind of that pension liability.
Yeah, we're familiar with that. Okay, thank you very much.
Sure.
Trustee Perkins, questions?
No, I have no questions, but this is okay.
Trustee Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just have one question, that is, I haven't been able to read this yet, so
Okay.
I'm going to be reading it. I assume I have the ability to call you.
Oh yeah, of course, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, Peggy and Debbie both have my contact information, so.
Further questions?
No.
Okay. I think Randy touched on my concern, well, that's just a generic one. If we're missing something, we count on you to point it out.
Yeah, I mean, part of our testing is we go through the internal controls, and that's what we make sure that everything internally is sound, and that all the procedures are in place for the village and the staff, taking care of the cash. And then as far as all the GASB, those implementations, everything on that side of things is all taken care of. I mean, there's, the state of Illinois is always, kind of toss-up, but I mean, as long as we're doing what we have to do with the IMRF, then everything is sound.
Well, all of us up here are extremely grateful. We appreciate the relationship we have with the firm, and our treasurer and our village accountant.
I was going to ask again a question while she's going to hear the answer as well. So this GASB that came out was part of a prior year recommendation, this post-employment benefit. It's like for the liability type thing.
Can you talk in the microphone?
I'm sorry, excuse me. So GASB 75, it's what was part of what was recommended last year, which was not material for us. We don't have post-employment benefits. My question to Ann was going to be what she's seeing for some of the other villages as being recorded as a liability for that GASB.
Yeah, it really depends on the size of the municipality or park district. There's some that are millions of dollars and others that are a couple $100,000. So it's hard to tell, it's all over the board.
What we've done, basically, is what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah. I mean, it's similar to the net pension liability for IMRF. That would just be an additional liability that the village would have to record. But like I said, it's anywhere from $1,000, a couple $1,000s, $100,000 to millions of dollars.
And would an example of that be the Public Safety Employee Benefits Act, benefits and payments for health insurance?
Not for this one is just for the post-employment. So this would be if someone retires from the village, then they're still on the village's health insurance, then there's a benefit that the village has to pay.
Right, that's a health insurance benefit.
Okay.
So if it's a health insurance benefit that example is for if the village had its own police and fire
Yes.
departments,
Mhm.
then if they suffer catastrophic injury or death in the line of duty as a full-time employee, then municipalities are required to pay for that health insurance for the injured employee.
I think that, yeah.
And so I think for some of our other clients that I think it was covered under the.
Yeah, and if there were police or fire, then there would be the police pension fund and the fire pension fund, which would have an additional liability for the village would have to report as well.
But we don't have a liability for that.
No, we
No,
don't, because
no.
the village contracts out its
Right.
police. Fire service.
So we are the beneficiaries of decisions made by our predecessors that we've done as a community. I want to give credit to those who have served on this board long before any of us. We outsourced everything, and we never added a lot of full-time headcount. And as a result, we are reaping the benefits of those decisions later. My predecessor joined the Lord last year, and I miss her deeply. And I think when she was sitting in this chair, her greatest legacy is we never added a lot of full-time headcount, and we outsourced everything, including all the pension liability. And God bless you, Connie, because we're sure benefiting from it today. So, I'd ask the treasurer to comment along with you both. You read these stories, they even made a TV movie about that fraud out in Dixon. I worry about a lot of things. I'm a worrywart by temperament. The books of this village under Peggy Hirsch and Debbie Vernon are cleaner than my grandmother's kitchen floor. And I wonder how in the world this kind of nonsense can go on, because she counts the paper clips that I walk out the door with.
Did you have a chance to watch the movie? Did you actually watch the?
I watched about a third
All
of it.
my Sunday horses.
Yeah.
I did watch it, I just never
Yeah.
remember the name.
Yeah, I mean, she actually had bank accounts. She set up, and when she'd go on vacation, she'd go, get all the bank account statements, but don't bother with those accounts.
Yeah.
And no one ever did until the woman did by accident, and she was across these bank accounts. It's amazing when you think
Yeah, a
about
lot of things went wrong.
Yeah.
Well, and those kinds of stories change industry practice, right? I mean,
Oh, yeah.
we can make light of it, and it's certainly some parodies is appropriate. But I really am grateful when you give us a clean audit like this, because it tells me that the hard work of our treasurer and the village accountant, under the able leadership of our chair, we don't have to worry about this. Our residents know that we're getting full value for the dollar, and there's not a bit of it that's going to shenanigans.
Right.
I think the biggest expense is my diet squirt.
The difficulty is in finding it.
That's right, I hide that, man, right at the bottom of the
Cutting premiums for it. Yeah.
Are there any questions for our guest before we continue on? Okay, Ann, thank you very, very much. And I'll yield to the treasurer now for the remainder of the treasurer's report.
You're free to go or stay.
Great.
Thank you very much.
But it's not very exciting if you do stay.
Okay.
It's just, one sec to organize myself. Okay, so before you, we have the financial statements for the quarter ended July 31st, 2018. So we're officially 3 months or 1 quarter through our fiscal year. Looking at the flash report on page 2. We have assets of $2,528,000. We have current liabilities at $584,000, and our equity is $1,943,000. You'll see our assets equal our total liabilities and equities. Our balance sheet is in balance, which is always a good thing if you're an accountant. Revenue for the first 3 months is $767,000. Our expenses are $592,000, giving us a net income of $175,000. So we've pulled out before, as we've done this each month below the bold line, also we've pulled out what we call our regular operations. And if we pull out our, a little bit of what we've had done to date this year, the $5,191, our net income from regular operations is $180,574. This is compared to this point last year, it was $331,000, and each month I've given the reasons. I'm not sure you need to keep doing that. We had a Wanakee Trust distribution early on last year, and we had real estate taxes paid earlier last year than this year, just basically a timing difference.
So the October statements, it should be.
Absolutely, yeah, we'll be all caught up, except for the Wanakee distribution, the trust distribution. There's no extraordinary expenses this month, but if we looked at page 9, since it is a quarter, we have a quarterly wrap-up for what we'll call the non-MFT road maintenance expenditures. And you'll see basically one vendor has been paid, Cuba Township. There's 3 different bills, one for $25 and those 2 other $2,500 and $2,600 bills for culvert replacement. And then the other 3 payments to Cuba Township this past quarter were for the monthly contract. So that's a summation of what's happened in that account this quarter. Any questions on that before we move on, or just not too much going on yet? And then just turn to the next page, it's page 10. We'll go through our budget to actual. You'll see on page 10 our revenues at about 3/4 of the way down is to 25% actual to budget. So we're right on for the quarter. Kind of going through the line items, nothing really jumps out. Our real estate tax collections at 52%, that's because we've collected half our levy at this point. Building permits, about 18%, so a little bit below our 25%, nothing concerning there. Business licenses, food and liquor licenses, those are at 98, 99%. We collect those at the beginning of our calendar year, fiscal year, excuse me. Okay, page 11, you'll see down towards the bottom, our total expenditures are 18% actual budget. So trending just a little bit below budget. Most of our larger items are right at 25%. That will be our salaries. Those are set by budget and by ordinance. Nothing else is really throwing out of there. Website newsletter at 42%. We did have a newsletter go out this quarter, so I'll pull that up a little bit. We don't do each month or quarter for that matter. Any questions on the budget to actual? Okay, we'll move on to, or any other questions on the general fund before we move on? Okay, we can flip to page 12. That's our motor fuel tax fund. This year we're just going to accumulate funds in this fund. We're not going to use this fund for any road work. You'll see we have current assets of $279,000. Okay, page 16 is the water sewer fund. Not much to mention in there at this point of the year. Our current assets are at $1,500,000. Our capital plan, we only have about $188,000 of planned expenditures this year in that fund as well.
That's right, say that again.
We only have $188,000 of planned expenditures in the water sewer fund this year. We have $1,500,000 in current assets, net current assets. Any questions on the statements before I move on to the accounts payable? Okay. So we have a couple of invoices or warrants for special notation. Warrant A, Cuba Township for $3,566.44. That's for a culvert replacement. HR Green, there's a $1,060 bill, and that's engineering work towards the Anderson Road. That was in the budget under engineering services here. Lake County Reporter, there's 2 bills in there. That's the tax bill for the Featherling property. We did receive credit for that at the closing. I don't know the exact numbers, but the bill is very close to what we do credit for. Page freezer, that's a new one for us this year, $1,450. That's the social media archive program that we have in place for the FOIA protection or gathering. The budget was $2,500, so we came in under budget for that for the year. Warrant B, Cuba Township, there's a bill for $6,439.12. That is for a culvert replacement as well. And then last to mention, Waterback and Amon, their final audit bill, final bill for the audit is, it's actually split between the general fund and the water sewer fund. So when you add those two together, it comes to $9,850, and that was the contracted amount and what was budgeted for the year.
Can I make this is my fault, I didn't catch this earlier. The $6,439.12 is listed as a culvert replacement.
Mhm.
It was actually re-ditching and putting in perforated pipe, not under the driveway, so it was near a culvert for the road, but it wasn't an actual culvert replacement.
Okay, we'll make a
I
note.
just, a note of the record, yeah, that was my fault, thank you.
So, I'm sorry, ditch repair and,
Perforated pipe installation.
thank you. Any questions on the warrants? Or did I say in my report then? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Hershaw, is right on the money. It is, that wasn't even intended. We recognize that this doesn't happen by accident, and so we're grateful for the hard work, and it shows up in the results. If there are no further questions for the treasurer at this time, the chair would like a motion to approve in block agenda items 8A through D. A, approve and accept the audited financial statements for fiscal year ending April 30, 2019. B, approve the financial statements as of July 31, 2019. C, pay bills in the amount of $188,693.47 as listed on the accounts payable warrant A dated September 3, 2019. And D, pay bills in the amount of $29,384.06. Thank you, Lisa. As listed on the accounts payable warrant B dated September 3, 2019. May I have a motion to approve in block?
So moved.
By Trustee Perkins, thank you. Seconded by Trustee Thompson. Thank you both. I'll ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Trustee Perkins.
Yes.
Trustee Thompson.
Yes.
Trustee Rigby.
Aye.
President Richardson.
Yes, thank you. Agenda item number 9 is the administrator's report.
Okay, I'll start out with some very good news. You probably all saw my email last week that IDOT is done with their Route 22 closure for when they repair the culvert. So they expedited this project and had the contractor working extended hours as well as allowing emergency vehicles and emergency access to the hospital during the construction. So yay. The second item, very briefly, Waste Management has requested an increase in their fees that they charge us for our residents' garbage and recycling that the village pays for. They're asking for 15 cents per household per month because of the recently imposed fuel taxes. We have reached out to SWALCO, and SWALCO has gathered all the communities that have waste management, and they're looking over the calculations to make sure they're fair and accurate. Trustee Thompson has graciously agreed to attend that meeting on my behalf during my absence, which leads me to item C, other vacation, for yours truly, starting this Friday, and I'll be returning on the 19th of September.
Where are you being paroled to?
I am being paroled over to Europe, cruising down the Rhine River.
Ooh,
So,
very nice. They have wine there, don't
I've heard that. Rumor has it,
they?
yeah.
It's their coot.
Yeah, so that's it.
Thank you. Questions for the administrator? And Jim, thank you for taking that meeting with Waste Management. Agenda item 10 is the clerk's report.
You already may have noticed or may have received a notice that the Barrington Area Legislative Breakfast is coming up. So this is just a reminder that it will be Wednesday, October 2nd at the Garlands of Barrington. if anyone is interested, I'd be happy to register you, just let me know.
Would you call me next Friday and remind me on that, please? Because
Sure.
I'm going to try to go, because I haven't been able to attend a lot of their events, and
Okay.
I'm putting it in now the second Wednesday.
Yep, Wednesday the 2nd.
What time?
8:30, yeah. 8:30 is registration, networking, and 9 o'clock it starts.
Great, thank you.
Sure.
You are very kind, thank you. Okay, are there questions for the clerk? All right, we can move to agenda item 11, which is reports on the standing committees. I've kind of done the external relations one under the president's remarks. The only thing on communications I'll mention is that it relates to some of the financial stuff. We are in good shape now, but there are storm clouds on the horizon, and we're going to be talking to the public about that because we want to make sure we batten down all the hatches before trouble could come our way and be prepared for it. So we will be working over the next period of time here, next couple of months on communicating with folks about the opportunities we see in the future and the challenges we see in the future. So stay tuned for that. 11B is Community Relations, Special Events, and Veterans Affairs. Trustee Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. President. You know, we previously discussed that beginning in 2020, we'll be adding events to Fire Farm. And also, if you may recall that previously it indicated that in order for us to work with Fire Farm and to build it to what it's we want it to be, Fire Farm should have a logo. And I'm in the process of working on that. We need a logo so we can build a brand image for Fire Farm to utilize in all the succeeding events that we do in the future years. More on that to come. I would like to really thank and award Village Administrator Karen Dalton-Lang for all the work she's done for the veterans on the Governor's Hometown Award. The veterans of LBS and their Great Hearts event last year have been selected as one of the potential winners of the Governor's Hometown Award. And it'll be, the presentation will be September 17th in Springfield. Tom Giller, president of the Veterans of Lake Barrington Shores, and I will be there to do the presentation. Since Administrator Karen Dalton-Lang is on vacation, we did record her today. And I have on my phone all of those recordings. If anyone would like to see them.
Can I argue?
So wish us all good luck on that. And again, Karen's work has been tremendous, not only in suggesting that this be done, but in handling and managing all the work that we've been doing. Thank you. Let's see. Oh yes, again, Karen Dalton-Lang, Village Administrator, and I are working, discussing, and meeting with the people to install a dual electric vehicle charging station here at Village Hall. And as part of that, I've also talked to Lake Barrington Shores about doing one there because they have at least 4, maybe 5 Teslas there and some other EV automobiles. And they are very interested in doing so. So we'll be, in effect, working with them as we proceed. And we also want to work with the Marketplace Shopping Center to put one there because, as it's been explained to us, that you need to have a location where people would be there for at least an hour. And it takes an hour to put, 25–30% back onto the vehicle. And we have Zazas, the infamous Zazas. We have the children's, the pediatrician there, and Remax and the bank. So once we get a hold of them, we'll work to see if they would be interested in doing this. My hope is that if we can get the 3 together, that perhaps we can get some sort of a discount on what we're doing. Can't get a discount on the install. Is that $2,500, Karen? The install?
No, the install's about almost as much as the charging station, so it can be like 12,000
Yeah,
for,
yeah.
depending on how much conduit and things.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're hoping, that the three of us combined might be able to get some sort of a discount on what they're going to be doing. And let's see, and that's it. Thank you. Any questions?
I like, people, I notice the electric car vehicle chargers now in more and more places.
Yes.
So I appreciate you taking the lead on that because we want to set a good example.
Yes.
If there are no questions for Trustee Thompson, Trustee Burke, Trustee Mitchell, and Trustee Schaller are not here tonight for economic development, open space, village facilities, and public safety. I'll ask the administrator, do you have anything on any of their behalves to mention? Okay. Then we can move to 11E, which is Finance, HR, and Administration. Trustee Rigby.
Thank you, Mr. President. That's some good news. If you checked your computer tonight, we have a Wi-Fi set up in this room right now that you can log on. It's called VLB Guest.
COL, yes?
We are making progress on our IT plan. We had an IT committee meeting this morning, and we are on track in executing. And Mr. President, we are in the process of getting ready to go on to the cloud in the next 2 months. So there's some work that needs to be done primarily with Debbie and the gang back in the back there, because they've got to get their files like they want to look at it forever as they migrate to the cloud. So they're going to, we're working with Sean Gallagher and his crowd. They're going to come in and help us get that fixed, and then the migration will occur by the end of October. So fantastic. So that's a big deal. Additionally, we talked a little bit about the threats here and what's happening. The phishing threat is the biggest one now, and so we're discussing with Carol the potential for some training for our employees and actually some testing by the guys to see if they can break into us. And then it's a lesson learned kind of thing. It's not a gotcha, but you got to watch out.
Good hygiene.
And yeah, in fact, Debbie even talked about some attempts. What was her name? What was the gal's name that sent you emails?
Lydia?
Lydia, yeah. Lydia's affidavit passed the information on to her.
And I do want to thank our accountant for not transferring my bank account, my direct deposit to Lydia.
So anyway, that's all good news, and thanks to Karen who spearheaded this for us. That's coming along. That's all I have.
Perfect. Questions for Trustee Rigby? All right, 11H, roads and infrastructure. Trustee Perkins.
All I have to mention is Administrator Brown and I already mentioned the Brown County 2, and we're all happy to see that that's going to.
Amen. Thank you.
Yeah.
Questions for Trustee Perkins? If not, there is no old business or ordinances under 12 or 13, so we can move to agenda item 14, new business. I guess, Becky, do we need to have a work session tonight?
I don't believe so.
Okay, because we took care of that. Okay, thank you. Then 14A, approval of employee travel expenses, village administrator, and approval of travel expenses, 14B for the village clerk. As the administrator just briefly comment on these.
Sure. The employee travel expenses for myself, there is a ICMA, which is the International City Council Management Association's annual conference that will be held in Nashville this year. This is a place where thousands of local government management professionals gather and exchange ideas, and we find out about new products and new methods, which is great, which is very helpful. I attended last year's conference in Baltimore and came back with lots of things. And one of them was this IT company that we're using right now to look at things. So it's a very worthwhile event. The GSA per diem rate for hotel in Memphis is $175 a night, and the lowest hotel rate I could find for this conference is $239 a night, which calls for a roll call vote by the village board.
Okay.
Yes, we have that in our, yes, it's part of our, ours are open and transparent, and everything's there.
Yeah,
It's also pursuant to state statute.
okay, I wondered if there was stuff. And then what about the other item for Lisa?
The item for Lisa is, she's asking for travel expenses to go to Springfield, Illinois, maybe not quite as glamorous as Nashville. But she is currently pursuing the Master Municipal Clerk Program, which is her next level of certification. So this is very exciting, and it's a 2-year process, so this would be the first of the 2 years, right, Lisa? And so she would go down to Springfield for 3 nights in October. And again, believe it or not, the GSA rates for Springfield are $94 per night, and the hotel where the conference is $109 per night. So again, needing permission from the village board.
Let me just comment, you all know that I travel extensively for business in Nashville. It's one of the state capitals I cover. This hotel rate is still very, very good. And this is very fair. There's nothing, this is not at all anything other than completely reasonable, and I certainly can get behind it. And the same with Lisa's. I haven't spent time for clients in Springfield. When I became mayor, I stopped doing business in Springfield because I didn't want to have a potential conflict. But I still go down there because I'm on an association board down there. And I pay a lot more than that. So I think these are very modest, reasonable things. I'm very happy to support those. Happy to recognize trustees for comments or questions. I'll yield to the chair of the committee, Trustee Rigby first.
Thank you. I don't have any specific comment other than to say I think it's very cleansing for us to be able to take a look at our extraordinary expenses, and for all the trustees to say, okay, we agree on that. So.
Trustee Perkins.
I agree with Trustee Ruby. Yes, it's, these rates are very modest. Very modest.
Trustee Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to say about Nashville, I paid more than that.
Yeah. Bar tabs.
And I would like to remind our village administrator to come back with some boots and hats.
I will do my best.
Thank you.
Thank you. The chair would like a motion to approve and block agenda items 14A and B, approval of employee travel expenses, village administrator, and approval of employee travel expenses. Village clerk may have the motion, please.
So,
By Trustee Thompson. May I have a second? By Trustee Rigby. Thank you both, gentlemen. Clerk, will please call the roll.
Trustee Thompson?
yes.
Trustee Rigby?
Aye.
Trustee Perkins?
Yes.
President Richardson?
Yes. Agenda item 15, this is the second time in the agenda for the public to address the board. I see no one seeking recognition. There's no closed session. We're going to go to adjournment. I would like the council to look at the clock and just publicly state the time.
Noted.
Yeah.
Yes, so noted.
7:47, and we started at 7:00. You see what happens when Mitchell and Burke and Schaller aren't here? How much smoother these meetings will be. Chair would like a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?